Hello, everyone. I'm Patty Ann Brown, and you are in the strategy room. Republican Donald Trump regained his stride in the presidential race Tuesday night, winning the GOP primary in New York. Ohio Governor John Kasich finished second in New York with 25% of the vote, leaving Cruz in third with 15. Kasich was awarded at least 3 delegates, leaving Cruz looking like he was going to get shut out. Cruz and Kasich have been laying the groundwork for a contested convention. Will that happen? And if so, then what? Joining us now, our Democratic strategist Joe Lestingi and Republican strategist Adam Goodman. Thank you both of you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So Trump has the momentum, but he still might not clinch the nomination. If he doesn't get the required 1,237 delegates and it goes to a contested convention, Adam, what happens?
Heaven knows. Katie bar the door. All those right expressions. I think this. Two things. One is, of course, Republicans are meeting even this week to talk about the rules, which have not technically been ironed out as to how they're going to kind of referee this fight. But I think the verdict is already in from the American people. They're saying we want this to be reflective of how we voted. One person, one vote. And I think that's the sticky wicket that the Republican Party insiders have right now. They've got to be able to persuade their own that the process and rules that they've created or are still creating are truly going to be representative of the popular will. And I think in terms of the number, if Donald Trump is closer to 1,150 versus 1,200, there's a different kind of, you might say, argument to be made about whether or not there should truly be an open and contested convention. But if he's close to 1,237 and the rules look like they are very archaic, backroom, and unfair, I think we're looking at basically a Trump nomination because the American people, if not the Republicans within America, are going to will it and demand it.
Yeah, Kasich points out that he has the best shot at beating Hillary Clinton, according to the polls. But, you know, as Adam just said, many of Trump's supporters are saying they're just going to sit out the election if Trump is denied the nomination at a contested convention, if he gets so many wins. Joe, if that large a number of Republican voters sit out the general, does that hand it to Clinton?
Absolutely. Listen, the Republicans have a division right now in their base that they need to work on and they need to mend. Now, I'm a Democrat, and it makes me happy to see them internally fighting, but I also say this, as an American, it's important that this process be open, and the fact that the rules for the convention haven't even been decided on yet, it's really bad. Now, the problem you have is this. It's Trump against establishment. And if Trump is robbed of this, and I'm going to lower the bar lower than Adam. If he gets to 1,000, which he will, but if he gets to 1,000, he's going to have a really great case because his total voters are much higher, right? So if they get to convention and he doesn't have 1,000, or he has 1,000, and they don't give him that nomination, plays right into his narrative. They're stealing it from us. They've been stealing it from us for years. It's time for us to stand up, and you can, I mean, I can't count on a third party race with him. He would have to continue to fulfill his vow to his supporters.
All right, Adam, what about the Cruz campaign? How would you characterize it at this point?
I think the word is retooling. I think they're retooling quickly to figure out how to tack next. They know they're in for kind of a bad week. They certainly had to start that last night in New York. They have to do well in Indiana, and they've got to try to beat a narrative. And the narrative that's being controlled, I think, very skillfully by Donald Trump, which is fairness. You know, if there's nothing higher on the scale of morality that Americans hold most dear, it is that everything be fair and just. And I think right now that argument is being won squarely by Donald Trump as Cruz is winning you might say, the rush for delegates behind the scenes. Trump is winning the popular vote and winning it big, and he's got the heart of America and the sense of conscience of America, I think, rallying behind him. So Cruz has a hell of a problem ahead of him, which might say if there's going to be a remedy short term, he's got to do well in Indiana.
Yeah. Joe, you know, you mentioned being happy as a Democrat to see this debate over delegates and rules on the Republican side, but we're seeing something similar on the Democratic side. Clinton way ahead of Sanders, but that's largely due to superdelegates. If you just count ordinary delegates, ordinary wins, the race is much closer, and now Sanders supporters are trying to sway the superdelegates to their candidate. Joe, is that Sanders' only path to the Democratic nomination, and is it something similar to what's going on the Republican side?
Yeah, well, let me tamp down expectations a little bit here. Superdelegates, I think Republicans would be killing for them right now because it would really help them sort out their mess. But superdelegates are party people who have been loyal to the party for a long time and want to say. And we've known these rules. They were in place when Barack and Hillary went at it in 2008, and Bernie Sanders agreed to play by those rules when he joined the party. And listen, I voted for Bernie. I like what he talks about. He does not have a path here. Even with the superdelegates out, the states that are coming up look very good for Hillary. New York was a huge statement for her. She is gaining her momentum. Bernie will stay in the race, I think, until the convention. There'll be a good show of unity at the convention. The fight's just not the same on our side. It's not as we are arguing over small details. They're arguing over their core. What do they stand for and what do they believe? And that's a big rift to overcome in just 6 months.
I hear Adam snickering.
Yeah.
Very quick last word.
Okay, I hope I get the final word. There are 712 superdelegates in the Democratic Party. 361, over 50%, made up their minds about who to vote for and who to back in this race before the first vote was cast in Iowa. There's nothing trivial or small about that, Joe. That's just not right. That's not fair. They're not listening to people. They're listening to themselves. It's part of the rules.
It's part of the rules, and that's what we've had from the beginning, and it was the same rules in 8. There have been no changes. Republicans want this right now. I can guarantee Priebus and those guys really want this because they see themselves losing their jobs when this is done and Donald Trump gets the nomination.
Out of time. Joe and Adam, always fun. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
And for complete coverage of the 2016 election, go to foxnews.com. I'm Patty Ann Brown. Thanks for watching.